face Machi or AHQ in a best of 5. That is going to be a huge challenge.
Well, let's go ahead and get into Champion Select. It looks like Alpha have opted to stay on the red side here. So testing fate, it seems, as they're trying to break a curse and try and tie up this series 1-1. Maybe looking to always have that counter pick available for Assassin or Rock possibly here, as the bans look to remain the same as the LeBlanc and Lee Sin banned out by the Dragons.
And for Berjaya, because they're staying on the same side, they've been very calculated, and most likely that's going to be an Olaf ban unless Alpha has something up their sleeves. They've done it before with Assassin either opting for a very interesting pick like the Akali, or perhaps, the Vayne once. The only mid lane Vayne we've seen so far in the whole PCS. For Catjug though, what are his options? The Echo could be a fallback for that another carry jungler, since Berjaya Dragons has been banning most of his pool. But again, it might be similar. That's the set being locked in. Or hovered.
Being hovered, it will get locked in though, and bans are going to be exactly the same from what we saw on Game 1. And Berjaya just go ahead, first pick the set immediately. That does mean here for Alpha, we might be seeing a bit of a change-up, especially out of Kino in particular. This is picking up the Nautilus, which also indirectly is a big takeaway from Chile.
Yeah, Chile loves to play the Nautilus, and you pair that up with K2's mastery over Ezreal, and it's just going to be a very scary kill lane. At this point, though, that's going to be denied on this one, Nautilus, but a quick change up, though. Still the Varus, but that's going to be paired with the Nautilus.
Now for Berjaya, what do they have here? Are we looking at possibly the same comp overall? They could go with, say, Jarvan. They're hovering the Jace, they're hovering, the Jax. I'll see it when it gets logged in. But for Enzo here, I think the Jarvan, a great pickup that we saw earlier on in the day on Game 1, was able to pick up MVP in Game 1, and looking to do the same here in Game 2 as it gets locked in.
And it's perfect because you already see Atlan here on the Varus, so in terms of just trying to get in Atlan's face, you have the necessary components already, and add in the equalizer too, just to scare off any of the backline to reposition.
Now we're already seeing the hot pot come out here, as it's going to be the Cataclysm, then lay down the equalizer for a nice and easy spicy dinner on the side of the Dragons. We'll see whether or not Alpha are able to keep up with them, as now the question becomes, what does Assassin possibly want to try and run into this? We could see a Varus lethality mid, but the Sylas I think is a lot better of a pick.
Yeah, it is going to be suiting Assassin's playstyle again, who likes to dive, who likes to make these plays, and a lot of sustain as well coming into the fights. And again, a different dynamic for both Berjaya and Alpha in terms of their mid laner, and meanwhile for support. Let's see what Alpha decides to ban, and that's going to be a respect ban of 4K2, not removing the Ezreal right off the bat.
Yeah, no Ezreal here, as it's going to be banned out. So for K2, he's going to have to go on to a fallback. Of course, he still has, he has a couple options, but still, maybe not his big priorities, as it usually was the Varus and the Ezreal. I'm interested to see actually whether or not Alpha try and get rid of the Misfortune, and that would actually really start to clamp down onto K2's champion pool in that bot lane, and that is going to be the case as it gets banned out.
Yeah, and considering that the next one that he selected was a Caitlyn, and Caitlyn in the whole PCS tournament has, unfortunately, a 0% win rate. And with that, I think most of the AD carries has dropped it out of their pool coming into the PCS, unless Berjaya Dragons opted to pick this up for K2.
We'll see now. Final ban. Still got some jungle picks being left open. And actually, to get rid of them, as the Sejuani and Rek'Sai are both banned out by the Dragons, really targeting now toward Catjug. The Wukong hover, though, he is disabled, so he's not actually allowed to get locked in. Let's not get too excited right now, as we're not going to have any monkey business. This, though, would be a change-up, and especially going up, say, against a Rumble, where you try and counter that Cataclysm Equalizer combo with the Kindred ultimate. That might be the key here for Alpha.
Yeah, this actually works really, really well, considering that Berjaya Dragons might opt for a lot of burst against this team. So this is a good counter as well. So for Berjaya Dragons, what do you select for your AD carry? Kaisa is still open. Unfortunately, hasn't garnered the same. It is in the same state as the Caitlyn in the PCS, currently at the 0% win rate. But she has been recently buffed through and through since a few patches ago. So this would be the next best option.
All right, so gonna go with the Kaisa. We did also see that Mordekaiser hover for a quick sec, but looks like Ozzy. Oh, we're having a bit of a change-up. That's going to be a set support coming out for Berjaya likely, as the Aatrox is going to be going up toward the top lane.
Yeah, this is going to be the first time Chile is going to be playing on the set support. Again, quite similar to Caitlyn and Kaisa, sitting at, I believe, hasn't won any game so far in the whole PCS split. So with that said, this is a good deny. Again, moving on to my next point for Ozzy, removing that away from Rock. And this is going to be a classic matchup with the Renekton and Aatrox.
So there we go. Renekton getting locked in here for Rock. He's getting to play against his possibly favorite champion up in that top lane, so he's obviously going to be a bit more familiar with the matchup. But also from CatJug, we're seeing a bit of more of that hybrid utility yet hyper carry when it comes to the late game with this Kindred lock-in.
Yeah, this is going to be the second time we're going to be seeing, I believe, the Kindred, and for Alpha Esports, for the very first time for themselves. And with that said, it's one of those things where will you be able to make this work, considering that in terms of the laning phase, hard CC is not going to be available for you, most likely except for the Renekton up top, but I'm not sure if that's going to be as reliable as what we've seen so far. Damage-wise, though, everything is perfect for Alpha, and that's what they want.
Yeah, you mentioned actually that Aatrox is now going to be going into the mid lane here from Mawon, which is something he has played before. That's always the exciting thing when it comes to Mawon in his champion pool, is he plays a lot of bruisers, a lot of get up in your face, not as many control mages as we saw on the side of Minji when he's playing for Berjaya. So we'll see now whether or not Alpha can try and turn around this series and force a game 3, or if Berjaya are looking to send them down into the loser bracket with a 2-0.
This is quite another interesting set of drafts, considering, again, we're seeing a lot of firsts for both of these teams, and that's Ozzy on the Rumble as well. A lot of yummy team fights for sure for both of these teams.
We'll see here for Alpha, putting a lot more eggs in the basket of CatJug, where he's going to be on this Kindred, looking to pick up stacks over the course of the game. Berjaya, though, looking to get a little bit sneaky here with a 5-man brush on the bot side of the map.
We'll see if Alpha walks in right perfectly towards the trap of Berjaya. Hoping to see perhaps maybe Kino or Atlan will put an early ward on that brush, but perhaps that will not be the case, as I see a lot of ports back already for the side of Berjaya.
Yeah, Berjaya already sending back Enzo and Ozzy, as they might be looking to... looks like it's still going to be a red buff start on the side of Enzo, as he just went on back to swap out for the sweeper, as he already put down the trinket, just to see whether or not there's going to be an invade coming out from Alpha. But look at that, Berjaya. It's going to be a leashless start for Enzo. So Alpha actually have a... They don't really have a clue where this Jarvan is on the map to start the game.
This is very going to be interesting for Alpha. Again, just as you mentioned, it will be a guessing game for the side of Alpha on where the Jarvan is going to start. And with Berjaya also placing a ward on towards that blue buff, they will detect whether or not CatJug will decide to go for that as well after his red. But based on his approach, looks like that will not be the case.
Well, look at this. Enzo, though, looking for possibly a level 2 gank, as already Kino's going to get brought back there by Chile. Alpha goes back for the hook there from Kino, but Enzo's on top of a ward, so they have clear idea where this Jarvan is now, as was looking to get a little bit tricky there on level 2.
Yeah, and both junglers actually level 2. We'll see CatJug will be able to finish his blue with no contest or no annoyance coming from Enzo. That was the attempt, though, as he did spot where CatJug is going to start. Meanwhile, these two laners, Assassin and as well as Mawon, will definitely be very scary when it comes to the level 6. Assassin has a lot of potential ults to steal, considering you have that Rumble with the Equalizer and Cataclysm as well.
Toward this top lane, we're going to see Rock get pushed in. This is a a common trend, unfortunately, for him. Enzo is already pathing up toward the top side of the map, so we'll see whether or not they try and go for that dive on the Renekton, similar to what we saw in Game 1, as Assassin already trying to get aggressive here. Going to get that chain on back, but he's losing out on these trades as the Conqueror stacks are there from Mao. Isn't going to force out a flash or the Ignite, as Catjunk is nearby. We'll see whether or not Mao is going to continue going for this, as Assassin still trading back a shot of an auto attack for the auto attack. Ignite is going to be there. Does Catjunk go over the wall? No, he does not wish to flash forward to finish off that final stack.
Beautiful bait coming from Assassin. Enzo, though, will I bump into Catjunk?
Might be just
Maybe
trying
not.
to do a cheeky little steal here. As there's going to be the knock up into the teleport immediately from Mao. That's going to force out the flash from Catjug on the Kindred, as Mao coming back from base. Meanwhile, top lane, Rock trying to go for the 1v1. Ozzy, though, ends up stalling him at the Tri-Brush with that Rumble, able to knock him down a couple pegs, and there you go. Alpha not able to do a whole lot here, as Berjaya are able to match the aggression.
Really nicely done. Again, we did mention Berjaya Dragons, quite the chameleon when it came to the PCS, able to adjust on the fly with whoever they're going to be facing with. And that is very apparent coming into the series in particular. And another ward coming from Alpha as well, just to track Enzo. And at the same time, we see Mawan pushing the wave quite fast here with that hard shove.
Hard shove here. He does not have flash available. Assassin just jumps in on top of him, and Catjung not going to be able to get the stack here, but they are looking for the first kill as Assassin flashes over the wall. Mawan's just trying to delay him as fast as possible here, as that Silas taking a couple chunks, but the kill goes on over, and Catjung secures first blood.
First blood for Alpha, and at that point, it's one of those things in where we did expect Catjug to keep focusing on Assassin, leaving Rock behind. And Berjaya Dragons, in the meantime, did try to make something happen quite differently to what they did earlier, and now towards Mawan. And let's take a look at this again. There were no vision whatsoever for Mawan to even see this coming, and he wanted to shove the wave to get that level advantage over Assassin when it comes to these trades, but unfortunately, it bit him in the back.
And you saw their Alpha, they were kind of waiting for the stack to actually be primed onto Mawan, as Catjung is also going to get his first bounty of the game off a champion. He got it off a scuttle earlier on the bot side of the map, so this is a great start for the Kindred.
Yeah, it's going to most likely be one of those things where Berjaya has to look out for, as, again, Catjug this time around on the Kindred, not on that utility tank anymore, and therefore he is going to be very scary when it comes towards the mid to later phases of the game. And considering you did mention first bounty on that champion will really sort of express the growth of this Kindred.
Yeah, you know, getting that first blood too, you get a little bit extra gold in your pocket. Not able to finish off the Warriors enchant immediately, but still a start that Alpha are looking for, and especially with Catjug, we've talked about him mechanically possibly being one of the best junglers when it comes to the PCS. To see him now on a carry threat with this kind of start, I'd be sweating already if I'm the Dragons.
Absolutely, and considering that for Berjaya Dragons, they didn't exactly get the start that they did from earlier, you know, gank topside, as it's kind of difficult considering that is a Renekton, especially when it comes level 6. The outplay that could happen with Rock under tower with the ult is going to be too risky for Berjaya.
Level 6, though, is hit here now, though, for Rumble, as Ozzy is able to claim that in the lane. Does not have teleport, though. He ended up using it to get back up into the action up against Rock, cannot lose out on any CS. That will also be the first dragon of the game, going in favor of Alpha, and especially for a Kindred, you love having just a little bit extra cooldown reduction, because you rarely really see it in the build, and that 10% goes a long way when it comes to her ultimate.
They're definitely going to be helping a lot, especially at the early parts of, or the latter parts of this match. And meanwhile, Enzo will decide to just get this red buff away from Catjug, considering he's still moving, actually, at the bottom side of the map. Assassin, though, we'll see if he's going to spot this out.
He's going to spot it out, ends up getting the ultimate away from the side of that. Oh, gets himself to safety here as Assassin goes back on in. Here comes the Renekton coming on over. The equalizer's there. Catjug, though, wants to join in onto the party, and this Kindred already ahead is going to get another assist here as Assassin finds the kill.
And the thing was, Berjaya Dragons were asking for it. They were the ones trying to bait it out, and they were the ones, instead of escaping, they wanted to commit. And they didn't really expect for Catjug to be there as well, considering he was moving towards the bottom parts of the map. And it is quite unfortunate, considering, again, Renekton, when it gets ahead, that means with Alpha, has another win condition, and that's going to be a top side with Rock.
I got a little bit scary there for Assassin. We love to tell how he likes to go on in. He ended up stealing the Cataclysm just to delay the fight a little longer. That allowed Rock to roam down, and now Assassin looking to roam toward this bot lane as immediately they jump in onto Atlan on the side of Berjaya, but he's going to be able to stay alive as now K2 underneath the tower. Here comes the arrow, almost able to take him down.
Oh,
the Kaisa
dear.
will live. Assassin looking to finish off the kill, but neither of them can actually find his Atlan. He's playing with death right now. Flash is not available for K2. They're going to wait for the next wave to push in. Here comes Enzo, though. K2, Assassin a little too far forward. Piercing arrow, though, will find its target as Atlan picks up another kill on the Varus. Assassin likely going to fall here as he's going to be a little bit too low to really do anything else, and it's going to be the trade of the AD carry for the mid lane.
Meanwhile, Enzo has been trying to be active here in the other lane. So the sacrifices, Catjug at this point has been farming it up as this Kindred, 2 levels behind now, but at that point it's one of those things where you gotta take it, you gotta go to that lane, or else there's not gonna be any sort of exchange. Allen was so close to dying. One more auto attack as well.
You saw there from Assassin, maybe not the best pathing, ended up trying to go back underneath the tower when there was no minions, and even soaks up a little bit of tower damage early as he thought he could, but in the end, they do get the kill over to Atlan. I think that was the main objective of this dive. Does mean, though, Enzo's going to pick up a kill for himself. Not the end of the world, though, as we saw Catjug was trying to pressure topside.
Yeah, that's a nice cash-in, considering that was a... oh, dear.
He's got his ultimate available. Kino coming on over with this Nautilus. Depth charge is going to be there. Assassin able to steal away the Aatrox ultimate. In comes Ozzy, though, with the Equalizer, able to get a decent amount of damage, but Assassin wants to jump back on in, able to just keep the fight going long enough for Rock to now come in. And it's going to be no one going down on either side.
These are close calls. Enzo had literally no HP left. He almost died. And at that point, Rock already getting that ult baited out. And at the same time, no one gets the Rift Herald. So Berjaya Dragons, difference is they've rotated their AD carries towards topside.
With Berjaya, Rock is now going to be caught out toward the side. Chili does not have level 6 for the showstopper. Rock already used his ultimate in the previous fight, able to get a decent amount. There's the level 6, though, hit for Chili. Unfortunately, Rock is going to get taken down, gets the enhanced slice and dice there, almost able to finish off this Kaisa, gets the little bit of health, and finds himself the kill in the 1v2.
That is absolutely not intended for Berjaya Dragons. And at that point, you wanted to get at least that kill towards, K2, but it didn't go to plan. Unfortunately, 2 levels behind, you're a little bit squishy, and getting that trade in too, coming from Rock to get a little bit of heal back up.
Yeah, and this has been a common trend when it comes to Rock is, I mentioned it, if he's not able to get the opposing team to make a mistake, usually his lane phase is pretty quiet, but it's situations like that Rock seems to just excel in. Now you saw Enzo at least trying to contest this Rift Herald, but Catjug and them have already here. Teleport's going to come out for Berjaya on the backside of the pit. Enzo not able to. Mal on over toward the side, gets on top of Catjug. Kino, though, is already going to get taken on down, and this is not where you want to fight if you're on the side of Alpha, as that's going to be Assassin getting over the wall. He gets himself to safety. Atlan was able to find a kill in the end. Now Chili going down low. Rock wants to find another one, and they're able to deny the Rift Herald immediately. K2 can't pick it up, and Alpha are able to hold.
What a fight from Alpha. And the thing is, Berjaya, again, was confident enough to enter the fight. And as you can see, it's still not over. Rock still lingering around.
Looking for this kill on Ozzy. It even makes Enzo second guess whether or not he wants to go for this back. Rock doesn't have flash, so it's a little bit tragic here as he's going to end up trying to go on in, get the damage, but on the last frame of the TP back to base.
Yeah, he was trying to wait till at least one ports back out to make it a 1v1 instead of a 1v2. Let's take a look at this again. So with Chili spotting out Kino, not able to get that, anchor away, But at the same time, Kajug was free hitting all this time. That was a beautiful ult coming from Atlan to keep everyone in place, intact. But for Rock, though, he's happy to be inside this pit, inside this arena, and it's basically easy cleanup as everyone's just sticking around.
Meanwhile, back on your main feed here, as he tried to go for the kill on Rock, and Catchup is going to get another stack on this Kindred.
Oh dear! Even Ozzy even used teleport to get that potential kill off of Rock, and we saw how Alpha Esports can get really scary once they snowball. And the problem is, the game earlier, it was Assassin that managed to get a lot of kills, get a lot of gold, but this time around, it's evenly spread it out towards the members of Alpha Esports, and therefore, more threats to worry about for Berjaya.
Yeah, on top of that too, Kachung has been able to secure bounties, which is huge for his passive to get his scaling into that late game where Kindred becomes an absolute monster from the jungle. We'll take another look here as the teleport came out from Ozzy, and Rock tried to still go for it, but guess what? Kino was in on the flank.
Yeah, and for Alpha, it's fine tanking a little bit of damage from the tower if you can manage to secure a surprise attack and avoid the vision at the river being laid out by the dragons.
Now on the side of Alpha, it's a 4,000 gold lead before 15 minutes. You got the carries you're looking for, getting those kills early. We're also seeing Atlan go into more of a poke-style build on this Varus, rushing into the lethality. So there's going to be a point here for Alpha, especially around that 30-minute mark, where they are going to be very strong, where they can close out this game fast, and becomes the question on whether or not Berjaya can hold.
It makes sense because you do have Catjug already sort of filling in that role for the auto attacks. So it does make sense for Atlan to go for this poke build. And it's going to be very scary because how flexible it is. You can use it when you want to contest objectives. You can use it when you want Atlan to be a little bit more safe in terms of positioning. So there's a lot of avenues for Alpha, and it's for Berjaya. I would be worried about this game now. It might end up into a 1-1.
Well, with those avenues, we do now have Mountain Soul onto the map. So we're going to have little choke points here for Berjaya that might work out in their favor, especially with a Rumble. So now Alpha always have to be a little bit concerned. Hey, if we're going to choke point here, is this Rumble going to cook us alive if we're not careful? Especially with a Jarvan that could try and lock you down. So the Rift looking to help out Berjaya, but if the Soul goes over to Alpha, it is a very dire scenario.
Agreed. And with Berjaya opting for a little bit more defensive with their builds, Ozzy going to be playing against this laning phase for Rock. Not the typical Rumble mid that we usually see that would invest on damage. So at that point, the expected damage that we want to see coming from that early equalizers is not going to be apparent at the moment, considering that, again, with this Kai'Sa pick, with your ult, you do have backline access with a killer instinct, but at the same time, you put yourself in danger with a lot of backline with Catjug and Atlan as well.
Rock also now finished off his Black Cleaver, so you can get really up in the face here of Ozzy as he ended up only getting the Seeker's arm guard and his boots upgraded. So this Rumble's still a couple minutes from his first item, so he's a pretty not too impactful Rumble, as he's just going to use that equalizer just to clear out the wave here, as Rock is able to force him to back, and with no teleport, next wave should be enough to crack open that tower and add the second tally over toward Alpha.
For sure. And Enzo is at the bottom side of the map, so no one can actually try to relieve pressure and just try to stop the waves a little bit and clear it out. And with that said, what will Berjaya do, considering that's a tower getting taken off the map, away from them rather? And it seems to me that's bot side will be the answer for Berjaya.
If Berjaya are able to at least try and equalize up here, Assassin does have the showstopper stolen away from the set. Enzo was looking for a dive here, but meanwhile, Alpha are not stopping. You also have the rotation coming out from Atlan and Kino. They're going to be able to take the second tier tower on the next wave.
No one is there to protect this second inner tower, rather, for the Berjaya Dragons. And at that point, they didn't even get any sort of exchange because, again, you will put yourself in danger if you want to try to push this bot side. You are a Kai'Sa, and that's the scary part, I suppose, considering you're in this pick. It's not like you have that wave clear to at least try to push the wave even more. So at this point, Alpha wins that exchange for sure.
And you saw it there too. We got to see a little bit of the stacks of the Kindred. Katjung is now on 7 stacks before 20 minutes. That's a great pace if you're a Kindred. You're very happy as he's able to even steal away that Wolf Camp to get his 7 stack. And it's giving a lot of control over to Alpha and really starting to set in onto the ward their win condition where they're going to be just spiking away around this 30-minute mark to look to end the game. That's going to be Chain of Corruption coming out immediately. Kino into a hook into the depth charge. Haymaker will come out. Chili tries to survive a little bit longer, but Assassin with that Showstopper gets countered immediately by a Showstopper, but Assassin will find the kill.
There's just too many lockdowns. You have at least the Q coming from Kino, or at least with a Chain of Corruptions, and you can mix and match them.
In we go, though, as Katjung is going to get caught out. Ends up having to back off. Kino with the flash forward, trying to find the hook. Not going to find it. So that does allow Berjaya to at least disengage, but Alpha still knocking on the door of this first tier tower in mid lane.
Equalizer available coming from Ozzy, for Ozzy rather, but decide not to pull the trigger as K2, a lot of flash is still available for Berjaya, but Chili has lost a lot there, considering he just fell from battle with the lockdowns coming from Atlan and Kino, and a ton of damage too.
You know, back and forth. It's just Set throwing around each other. You know, pretty boys throwing each other around. What more could you possibly ask for? It is going to be Rift Herald, though, started here on the side of Alpha, and that's going to secure them the second Rift Herald of the game. So they'll have that as a tool for their next siege. And it's still this 5,000 gold lead for Alpha. Still in the driver's seat. Want to see them try and, you know, push down the pressure onto Berjaya here, as Berjaya are starting to look a little bit scattered, a little uncertain of what they need to do.
Yeah, and when we see like the stats coming from Enzo, it seems to me that the ganks that he wanted to do earlier on wasn't really successful, especially Alpha has been laying on the pressure time and time again on towards the objective takes, and Berjaya has to concede, especially Rift Herald has been very important for them to relieve pressure and not give it to like Rock, who is 2-1-3, and we've seen how Renekton's can just change the game, change the tides of battle when it comes to the team fights, and considering you have K2 to rely on, and when K2's down, you've got Mawan, but at the same time, you will be exposed to a lot of damage as you're basically melee.
And it's the Katjug special coming out here, as it's going to be the IE rush on the Kindred. Rift Herald also going to come down towards this bot lane as they look to try and press this one in, and we'll get a quick charge off, and that forces Mawan to have to back off as Atlan and Katjug can rip apart this tower. If they're left to their own devices, tower goes down. Katjug looking to just, you know, jump forward here. Kino looking for the hook, not able to find it, but that is going to be this lockdown from the Chain of Corruption, and Katjug finds another stack on this Kindred, and Alpha really looking toward possibly tying up this series and forcing a Game 3.
Looks like they are also looking to end their curse here on this red side. Equalizer laid down just to clear the wave. Not going to be starting anytime soon. Anything soon, rather. But yeah, again, everyone is pretty much ahead for Alpha, and we did mention their win condition, which is Katjug. He is sitting comfortably at 4-0-3. But at this point, I think for me, personally, this is the best Chain of Corruption lands that I've ever seen so far in the whole entirety of PCS, and Atlan has been landing them, and they've been counting.
Yeah, Atlan able to make his mark here with his ultimate. 4-11. We're going to have 3.5 minutes on Mountain Soul for Alpha if they're able to secure it, and you can see, whew, Katjug got that seal now. He's going to start really chunking away and clearing out this jungle very fast. You can see he's farming up a Storm at 180 CS on the Kindred. Keeping up that CS total that we mentioned a little bit before, as he's just stacking onto this gold lead over Enzo.
Agreed. And again, Enzo didn't have the best of times at the early game. On the other hand, though, at least we see Ozzy on the Morellos, so that will sort of burn through, at least if he can if he's able to land a key equalizer towards the backline of Alpha. And again, it's kind of hard to just try to burst down Alpha if you see them in an awkward spot, mainly because of, again, Katjug's ult, just to deny any sort of takedowns.
Enzo, flag drag, tries to get aggressive here. Another Chain of Corruption, though, lands. That forces out stopwatch. You saw Mawan just get chunked immediately. Rock is going to get brought back. with the showstopper. It's the Cataclysm Hawk combo, but it's not enough damage. Now Assassin looking to try and get the flank off, and Chili's going to get taken on down, and it's a 2-for-1 in favor of Alpha as they take the second tier tower in mid lane.
I don't think I've ever seen any of the chain corruptions miss. I think it's only ones at the... actually, no, Rift Herald. The Rift Herald engage, actually, Atlan managed to land that as well. And Mawan, unfortunately, not able to safely go back to base.
Yeah, Mawan's going to be hunted down likely as he might be able to execute himself to the tower. Does Assassin find himself the kill? I think that's enough, and at least Mawan won't be given over any gold, but that does mean he's off the map for about 30 seconds.
And luckily, there's not a lot of objectives to take, aside from the Baron, of course, which is online and ready. Atlan again! Just the timings are great. And as well as Berjaya Dragons, again, not respecting the potential card CC. The hot pot combo was laid down, but unfortunately, it's not going to be enough as they've already lost one member out of that fight. Two members now.
And with this lethality build that comes out from the Varus, you see Atlan, he doesn't have to be within auto attack range. He could just lay down piercing arrow after piercing arrow, and you saw there was able to get massive chunks out of, you know, frontline members like this Aatrox. You even saw Enzo was forced to have to use his stopwatch just to keep himself safe. Atlan looking very good so far here on this Varus, now sitting 3-0 and 5. Well, Catjug is going to be that auto attack carry later on in the game.
And it is such a perfect dynamic because, like, just as you mentioned, you don't really have to endanger your positioning just to get the auto attacks in. You just have those Q snipes, but at the same time, you have Catjug for that reliable auto attack damage. And with that said, Berjaya Dragons, what are your options? Who do you want to try and prioritize? Because once they're together, you do have that ult coming from the Kindred, and you're not able to execute the primary carries immediately, and that's the scary part. With that said, though, K2 now has Ginsu, so that is definitely good news, but of course have to stack that Tilda Muramana for that nice spike for this Kaisa.
And you also got to be careful now because you saw Catjug. He's now finished off his rapid fire cannon, and he's got himself about 75% crit chance, so he does do a decent chunk of damage. He's doing about 700s there on the red buff, and with that, Mountain Drake is alive, and that's going to provide safety for these carries of Alpha with the extra shielding that's going to come out and make Kino and Rock frontline monsters. There's
just too much safety. Not only the Dragon Soul, but also, look, Edge of Night for the side of Atlan, and as well as Zonia's for Assassin. So, I mean, if the Kindred ult was already a big problem to begin with, adding these items and as well as the Dragon Soul just made the job even harder for the Dragons.
And you see a completely change of dynamic when it comes to this composition from Alpha. You have more of Assassin, who's more of a disruptor than anything else when it comes to these fights. Just trying to cause panic on the side of Berjaya, where then Catjug can actually be this carry that they need him to be, and they find Enzo immediately. Chili's going to get locked down within the Cataclysm. And unfortunately, it's a double kill for Atlan, and even with the equalizer, Catjug still at half health.
And that is a good 30 seconds, more or less.
Kino with the flash engage. It was all a bait there as Assassin's going to get the kill. And unfortunately, it's Catjug who's going to keep on dominating underneath the tower. He goes for the flash forward on to the side of Mawan, but he will get taken down. It's the ace for Alpha. And with that, they should be able to crack open the inhibitor tower. 5 seconds on Enzo, so it may not be the end of the game, but they are setting themselves up for a game 3.
Yeah, Kino with a flash. Q just really caught Berjaya Dragons off guard. And unfortunately, Azzy had to eat all of that. And with that said, Alpha managed to get another inhibitor for themselves. And with that, as you can see, Chili just wanted to run away, but a nice steal on towards the Cataclysm. Look at the damage coming from Atlan and as well as Catjug at the once they get this Q win. That was just a nicely done bait. Azzy just wanted to clear the way. And with a ton of pokes, that was just a powerful combo from Catjug and Atlan.
And Catjug maybe getting a little bit too aggressive there. Ended up flashing directly into the Aatrox with about 50 health. It's still the ace in the end for Alpha. 6 to 18 the kill count. 4 dragons secured, Elder Drake in 4 minutes, Baron on the table, item spike still coming online. You almost have a fully built now lethality Varus where he hits his peak damage output. He won't get any more, but this is the time where Alpha's looking to end.
Definitely, considering that there is a lot for Alpha right now. You have 6 kills on Catjug, 5 for Berjaya. This could be your last stand, and for Alpha, there's a ton of vision just to try and deny away from Berjaya as well.
And there you go. It's going to be Dragon secure. Kino looking for the hook. Ends up just popping the ultimate immediately onto Malon. And that poor Aatrox is just going to get taken on down. Showstopper coming out from Chili. Haymakers there. But even then, Assassin won't fall. And Kino with the flank on the Nautilus into the chain, into another hook. And it does not stop. Rock is going to TP into the base when he could have just walked. But that should be it as Catjug looking to hunt down kills. It's another stun. And Enzo underneath his fountain may get dived here as Catjug looking for that final hit. He's not going to find it. Inhibitor, though, is going to get taken on down. K2 is trying to proxy the wave in mid to try and slow down the push, but Alpha aren't stopping.
And now you can see that K2 porting back to base, but that's a whole 20 seconds more or less for the rest of the members to come back online. This is going to be a tough defense for Berjaya.
And there you go, Alpha able to fix their mistakes from game 1, come out swinging here in game 2. 6-21, final fight underneath the tower. We'll see whether or not Berjaya are able to hold. They did take down Rock. It's going to be a nice ultimate coming out from Chili. Catjug, though, pops his ultimate immediately and keeps himself alive. You cannot kill this Kindred. It's a double kill for Catjug, the Alpha jungler. And there you go. It's going to be a quick 7-25, under 30-minute game. Alpha are playing with their food underneath the Nexus fountain. The Nexus, though, is going to be exposed. And that should force us now to a game 3 as Berjaya are unable to close the series. A triple kill for the Rumble, but it won't matter.
What a wild fight from Alpha, and we were a little bit scared. We were worried about them, considering that we saw only at least one damage threat from which was Assassin at the previous game. You kill Assassin, and therefore no other sources of damage. But now everyone just worked as a unit, and therefore Berjaya just couldn't really handle everything that Alpha has been throwing at them.
Yeah, and now the question becomes when it comes into this Game 3 draft, it's Alpha, they have been able to prevent the red side curse from taking over. They only had 14% win rate when it came to red side during the regular season. They're able to find one victory, though, and that is crucial now. Because now on the side of Berjaya, you have to look at this Kindred, you have to look at this jungle pool of Catjug, and you say, well, what are we letting through? Because we weren't able to contain that.
Yeah, and you can tell the desperation or how bloodthirsty Berjaya was once things didn't work out so well. So they've been trying several fights that just sort of ballooned up at that time. And you saw K2 flashing over to Catjug to deal the final autos, but unfortunately, he had ult, so not able to finish that one off. So right now you can tell how, I wouldn't really say desperate, but how bloodthirsty they are. And most likely that will carry on over to the next match that we're going to have tonight.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and take a look toward the first Rift Herald fight where Alpha were able to contain Berjaya and keep the fight long enough to try and turn it around.
Yeah, this is one of the many beautiful chain of corruptions, I believe. Once Atlan arrived towards this pit and it hit multiple members, it just chained off and rooted several coming from Berjaya Dragons. And again, we did mention how Rock on this Renekton is definitely scary come mid-game, and no one really had an answer because Ozzy was on the Rumble this time.
Yeah, and so with that, they were able to prevent the first Rift Herald from going over to Berjaya. They didn't claim it itself, but they'll be happy nonetheless, as now our series are tied 1-1 here for our first playoff matchup.
Props again, aside from Catjug's performance, props to Atlan as well, just managing to land really nice, really key chain of corruptions. And Berjaya Dragons, again, they were a little bit excited just to try and equalize their losses because, again, early game didn't work out, but it just gave more entryway for Alpha to keep piling on with their lead.
So now for Alpha, they can take a little bit of this morale boost and try and bring that now over into this final deciding game. Reminder, loser of this series isn't knocked out of playoffs just yet. They do fall into the lower bracket, but you would like to try and stay on toward that upper bracket there so you have that extra little bit of a safety net when it comes to your first loss. And it's going to be Catjug that actually picks up the MVP with the 9-11 Kindred.
And it worked out. It is, again, the usual playstyle and where Catjug is going to be on a carry jungler. But on the other hand, the gold and as well as the kills was evenly spread out towards the rest of the members, and therefore was able to shine just as equally as Catjug. But he did so well during the early game and really threw Enzo off his chair.
Yeah, unfortunately, it didn't seem like there was an answer when it comes to this Kindred. So now Berjaya, do you let that one go through when it comes to the draft, or do they have something planned to try and answer it? We'll have to see here. Is now tied 1-1 between the two teams. I was excited. I really wanted to get 3 games out of this series. That was my prediction, at least. And so far, it's providing a great matchup. Game 1 was a little bit closer there, and we got to see what Alpha does when they are ahead. Berjaya not able to respond there, not able to, keep the game going long enough for that late game carry of K2 to come online.
I'm absolutely scared. What if Alpha decides to keep banning all of these AD carries against K2 and force Berjaya to play champions that don't really do so well, like stats-wise, in the PCS. And again, Kaisa 0% still, even though there were a couple of buffs coming from like 10.4 on towards today, and that's just really scary.
Well, we're going to go ahead and take a short break. When we come back, though, is our deciding game between Berjaya and Alpha.